It is not my usual studio setup. In fact, it's not even my usual studio. So this is finally when I can unveil the reasons why I have been absent for so many months now. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so very glad to be able to talk face to face to you again in an unusually usual setting, if you get my meaning. For those of you who are followers of the channel since its creation, you might be able to identify the changes in an instant. It is not my usual studio setup. In fact, it's not even my usual studio. So this is finally when I can unveil the reasons why I have been absent for so many months now from YouTube and from social media in general, and it was to create this. Actually, for personal reasons, I wanted to move, and not only to change apartments, but also to move from one city to another, and actually even from one region to another. And basically this was a very long process of finding the right space, the right location, and once this was done, to set up everything, the apartment in itself, the studio, and also something that I have not anticipated that much, but also to recreate all those working relations that you're in desperate need of when you are an independent in general, and an independent artist especially. So for instance, I had to look out for galleries in this new city, but also to find a new framer, to look up the different places where I could purchase my paints, brushes and things like that. So yeah, I did not expect for everything to take that much time, but I'm finally there, so I'm able to share everything that I learned from this experience with you guys, and also and primarily show you the new space. You know that I have previously worked out of my apartment as well, but I even had just a dedicated space within the living room where I did all of my work from, so from lino prints to oil paintings. But I think we have come to a stage where it felt a good moment to look for a bigger flat that would allow me to have a separate space to do everything in. And I do feel that it was very beneficial for on more than one account. It is great for me to have a space where I have my peace, obviously, where I can work in, close the door and not be available like if I would be in an office and would be at work. You would not be able to come up and talk to me or come up and phone me or something at any given time of the day. Well, it is like this if I close the door to my new studio, and it is great for my mental health. I believe that I can fully concentrate on what I'm doing here. Secondly, it is beneficial for all our health, of course, because as you might know, paints are a bit smelly, especially different types of solvent, be it turpentine or any other type. The different type of media are obviously very pungent, so it's not the best thing to diffuse throughout of your apartment or your house, your home in general, and it is better to limit the damages to one space where you can easily open the window and clear the air whenever you need to do so. So it is great for the health of your family members as well as your own. And finally, the third reason that felt like the right moment as well is I'm starting to look to the future as well, where I feel like I would really love to install a printing press that would save me up so much time, especially for those big scale multicolor lino prints where sometimes I need maybe 15 goes to print all the layers. And yeah, hand printing everything is starting to be bad for my back and is really costing me a lot of time to do. So at some point I would love to have a printing press, not a huge one, a smaller one will do perfectly, but it would still need space to put it in. And while I would have completely be able to keep the initial setup in the new living room, because it is even bigger than the previous one, it would not allow for enough space to put in the printing press. And also it would look very awkward, I believe, in the living room. It would look a bit out of space, out of context, not right in any case. And pretty much the same goes for a tool easel that I wanted to acquire to paint on bigger scale canvases. I was limited in size on my previous easel, and while I love the smaller format canvases and boards, I don't like to be limited in my artistic choice by the practicality of my tools. So I don't like for my easel to tell me at which size I have to stop painting, right? So I always wanted to get a bigger one, and now I can, and now I have. Nevertheless, although it is a separate room, it is still a small space. So there were decisions to be made in order for it to accommodate all of my needs and save the space in order to accommodate those needs, you know, especially because I combine two techniques. I'm not only a painter and not only a printmaker, I'm both. So I will definitely need areas in this space where I will primarily print and areas where I will primarily paint. And those needs, through the difference in the techniques, are very different. So obviously in the printmaking process, you would need like flat surfaces to spread your ink, to ink in your lino blocks, to spread the paper, to cut the paper, this kind of stuff, which is a bit directly opposed to what we would need as an oil painter, where you would need space in order to circulate around your tool easel, or you would need like free space where you could turn around your easel and incline it in the angle that is necessary in order for you to get the right perspective or the right distance or the right light falling onto your canvas. So in one case you would need a pretty, you know, empty studio more or less, and in the other case you would need like a lot of furniture where you have all the surfaces that you can print on. To combine those two, I had to think hard and long how I can optimize the space in order for it to work for both techniques. And this is where I hope that this video will be very helpful to those of you who are maybe in a similar position or who have similar needs and well, problems is not the right word, but where you would need to save space in order to create a studio area or workspace for yourself. And yeah, I think I made quite a few improvements to how it was set up previously. So now let's dive into the studio tour, and I will show you the different areas and what I've done with it. Right, let's start with this corner, which is my print and printmaking corner, let's say. So first of all, I have brought back my printer that I use for reproduction prints of my oil paintings. That was initially in my office room. I brought it into my studio, which is a much more practical thing to do. As it is a very sturdy and therefore heavy machine, there are not very many pieces of furniture that can actually support its weight. So I have picked this like professional office furniture, office cupboard to support its weight and to put it upon. Also, it has the advantage of giving me some space to store stuff that absolutely needs to be protected from any type of dust. Let me bring back a bit of light here. Sorry if the video quality is suffering by it. It is quite dark. So here we have finished lino blocks that I would want to protect from catching dust. We also have the different papers for the reproduction prints. Here we have some reference photographs that I use for my different lino print designs or oil paintings. And on the left I have some new lino blocks that are not even drawn on or nothing. And yeah, so basically any lino blocks are in here to protect them from dust, as well as the different papers. More generally speaking, this whole part of the studio and this whole wall makes up the printmaking space. For instance, here I have used my 18th century coffer not only as a storage room for the packaging, but I used the lid that it has to print on. So obviously for now here I have a glass palette for my oil paintings, but basically how I would envisage using this is to put on my register frames that are stored vertically here in order to save space, but I can pop them in and out very easily, like so, for instance. Right, so they are very neatly fitted onto the lid. I can put them on, put the paper on, lift it and print. There we have a glass palette where I have previously mixed my inks and inked out. I do believe that now that I use the lid of the coffer in order to do that, I am in desperate need of a bigger glass palette to do so. What I actually considered was taking the measures of the lid and then ordering a big glass or maybe like plastic palette to fit upon, which would give me the advantage of well, more space, so I can mix in more colors at the same time. And also I considered maybe ordering not a transparent glass palette like this one, but rather a white or neutral gray one like this. So it would save me the fuss of putting paper underneath it to have a white surface to mix my inks on. So yeah, I think I will do that, and I will maybe link also the website through which I will do that down in the description box, so that will give you an idea of what the production costs would be. And then I thought it would be a nice idea to attach a magnet board just above the printing surface, so that when I'm done with the printing, I have burnished my paper, I have lifted this and put it like that. I could then detach the paper that I've just printed on, and I would have to put it somewhere for it to dry. So right this minute I could just pin it on here for it to get out of the way before I store it, where it could dry for a day or for a couple of days. So this is a, let's say, temporary solution right in the middle of the printing process before it goes onto a drying rack. So the magnetic board is not a huge one, as you can see, but it easily fits in a 3 format, a 4 format, and some smaller like A5 ones. So yeah, it's a very handy thing to have put on here, I believe. And because drying racks are both extremely expensive and take up a lot of space on the ground that I actually don't have in my studio, I have come up with a cheap and cheerful solution to get around it, and it is actually a proper classical drying rack for clothes that I've fit in here just under the ceiling, like so. It is extremely space saving because it's hung just above all of my workspace. It doesn't bother me. It is hung high, so I don't have to, you know, be extra mindful of me not banging into them or them not touching anything else. And also it is really easy to screw on the wall. And what you can do is you take your prints and then you would use these types of clips. Let me just zoom in. Alright. You clip like maybe 2 on both sides of the print and you would hang them like so all along the thread of the drying rack. I will leave a link to both the drying rack and the clips in the description box so that you can find what exactly I'm using if you want to adopt the same method. Just a quick pause in order to make a big announcement. This year I decided to launch an advent calendar of a sort. Discover each day an exclusive promo code that allows you to purchase one of my works at 50% of its original price. In order to know to which of my works the promo code applies, head over to my Instagram account that I will leave in the description down below. There will be no day the same, so if your heart is set on one particular work, I'd suggest you jump on the occasion when you see something that you like. I know that handmade, unique art will never be cheap, but this year I would like to make an effort in order to make it easier to acquire and give you the possibility to give your loved ones or yourself an absolutely unique piece of art. And now this corner is really my pride and joy and yeah, probably my most favorite part of this studio. Let me talk you through everything that we can find here. So this white cupboard is actually IKEA and we've already had that one in my husband's office, so there are camera gear in there and also his darkroom tools. And yeah, for now we decided to keep it in my studio space because it would make sense as it is also a artistic part of equipment. But look how neatly this cutting mat is fitted onto the cupboard. It is nearly perfectly the same size, so this is really, really practical. Now, what is a bit less seamless, let's say, and less sleek is this type of, well, cupboard, not really, but structure, piece of furniture that is also from IKEA and which I already had in my previous setup for the different papers for the printmaking process. So we have new paper on top of here, so the Japanese and the, well, more classical thick printing paper that I always forget the name of. Here are the finished designs, matted on the bottom and unmatted just in paper form on top. Here we have everything for the packaging, so the envelopes that I sent my prints in, as well as some matting, which I decided to store directly within the plastified envelopes, which is both great because it protects the matting from catching dust, but it is also great because it prevents me from having to stock the plastified envelopes one on top of the other, because they are very slippery and they tend to topple over a lot. Yeah, I actually did not have really the space to put the structure on the ground, but as you can see, it only ever goes over the top by like 10 centimeters maybe, so it is still sturdy and well balanced out. It will not topple over, so I'm fine with that. And finally, this is the part that I'm very, very, very happy about. This little wall Also an IKEA number that I was not at all aware that existed. It's made out of plastic, so it is really lightweight. It will not weigh a lot and put a lot of strain on your walls when you attach it. The other thing is, it is attached by 4 of these little plastic screws, I believe, and you can put them wherever you want. So this is the very practical bit. It's cheap and cheerful once again, and you can buy a lot of different units to adapt this wall to your needs. So you have like smaller hooks, larger hooks, clips, flat long trays, or like vertical trays, and you can do a ton with it. As you can see, this allowed me to store everything that I had in my antique cupboard that I previously had onto just one wall, because actually the cupboard now lives in the living room, where it looks much nicer than secluded and stored away in my studio. So it has gone from a printmaking piece of furniture to now actually holding all of our plates and cups and teapots and stuff like that. The advantages are not only those of saving space, but also of correctly storing your gear, because now my rollers can be hung rather than put on a surface, which is actually great because it prevents the rubber part of the roller to be flattened, because if it's put too long flat onto a surface, it can flatten out the roller, and this will lead to a more patchy and less accurate inking process. So this is much better that way. Everything is really just like 10 centimeters away from the printing surface. So whenever I need to use maybe like my spoon for the burnishing, or one of these little guys in order to spread out the ink or mix it in, I literally have just to do this and reach out for them, and there they are. The same goes for attaching the register pins, as well as my masking tape, which I use very frequently to attach the Japanese paper onto my register frame. All of my inks are here as well. So yeah, this is very, very handy to have it that close by. Here's everything I use to clean the printing surface, as well as the lino blocks. I also finally have my beautiful gouges out in display, which I'm very happy about, because these are tools that are not only practical but really nice to look at, I find. I even find a way to attach the brush here, and if you're wondering what this is for in the printmaking process, actually I use this to clean out the little bits of the lino when I'm cutting it. When I have a lot of really like small pieces of lino still stuck in the nooks and crannies, I can use these bristles to clean it out. So yeah, everything I need for the printmaking process is right here in one place, and literally just 10-15 centimeter away from where I printed. Now this is my drawing space. Actually, if you remember, I previously had a bigger, maybe like kitchen table that I was using for putting on my easel on top of it, and for drawing upon it, and for printing, and for everything basically, but I completely ruined it. So we didn't keep it, but I completely ruined it, so we didn't keep it, and it was too big to make its way into my new studio, so I went for a more classical, let's say, like office table that I had, and brought in my computer. I don't know whether I'll keep it here, but I thought it is nice for when I am working on the more administrative parts of my job and sending out invoices and working on my website and yeah, editing my videos and stuff like that. It might be nicer to have it in my studio directly than in our joint office space. What I have here in this drawer is everything related to packaging. So I have like the branded stickers on here, a spare keyboard when this one decides to give up. Here are different invoices for my company. Here are the authenticity certificates and bits and bobs for like art fairs and stuff, stickers in order to mark everything that is already sold. Here you can put the pricing on or the numbers if you have a list to refer to, or like the names of the works that you're exhibiting. Here is the rest of it, so everything I need for packaging purposes, like the stickers for the envelopes saying it is fragile and you should not bend it. I have some embossing tools for the authenticity certificates, my business cards obviously. Here are the authenticity certificates for the lino prints, a payment device that I use for art fairs that allows me to accept credit cards. And here we have really primarily old sketches, newer sketches, and my sketchbooks. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about this space. I think it will be very full of light just underneath the window, and as you can see, it is very sunny. Here is the storage corner of already finished oil paintings, as well as like completely blank canvases. And finally, this is the, well, to stay polite, the slightly messier part of the studio, where things had to go that didn't have any of their places anywhere else. So I have all my brushes out here. As you can see, I try to organize them by type. So I have the really fine ones here. In the middle we have the textured brushes and all of my like classical brushes on here. Here are the paints, solvents and medium. Here, let me venture a bit more light. We have everything that I need to glue on the matting or mark up like my signature on the prints. I've also some colored pencils for my designs, for when I sketch out like my future multicolor relief prints. Here we have some more of the sketchbooks. Some older ones as well, because I like to peruse through the old designs and maybe take up some inspiration and some ideas from earlier on. Here I have a compartment primarily for my lino print designs. So this is the paper I use the burin on, so it protects the Japanese paper from too much friction. Some white paper to draw on if I need one, or some white paper that I use to test my mixed inks on. Some carbon paper as well in order to transfer my designs to the lino blocks. Here we have the varnishes and some postcards from different exhibitions in museums that I use for reference or as inspiration. And finally on top here I have different media as well, so the gouache paints are in there. Here I have some pastels and also watercolor and acrylics in here. So yeah, not as tidy and neat as the opposite wall, but everything has its place. I know where everything is, and there is nothing left in the way of me creating beautiful artwork. And there you have my huge easel. I know that you don't have anything of a size reference here, but let me tell you, it is taller than I am, which is actually not saying a lot because I'm pretty tiny, but still, this is really huge, and I can actually change everything that I need to change here, from the inclination to the canvas size. Everything is customizable here on this easel, and I have dreamt for so long about it, about having one, and now I do, and now I can paint on huge canvases as well. As you can see, this is a 80 by 80 canvas, which will be painting of Edinburgh, that I'm currently working on. So this is it for today, guys. I hope you liked what I've done with this space. You liked this little sneak peek behind the curtains of it all. And of course, I hope that you found it useful. Whilst I do not absolutely advise you on copying everything that I do here, obviously, I hope that maybe some solutions, some of the bits and bobs, and maybe some of my approaches might be useful for you if you adapted them to your needs, to your space, and yeah, the way that you are organizing everything in your studio. Maybe this gave you an idea how to save space in your case. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope to see you very soon in my next video. Until then, have a lovely morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.